Global Monetary Watch welcomes you, and today is July 28th. Before we begin, if you're looking for clear, balanced coverage of Iraqi Dinar developments without chasing rumors or sensational headlines, make sure you subscribe to Global Monetary Watch and turn on notifications. Every day we break down the latest developments, explain what they may mean in context, and focus on verified information rather than speculation. Stay with us until the end because today's discussion examines why the middle of August is drawing increasing attention and how several separate developments inside Iraq are beginning to overlap in ways that deserve a closer look. Today's discussion centers on a timing window that has become a major topic among those following Iraq's financial and political developments. Rather than focusing on a single headline or expecting one dramatic announcement, it is more useful to understand how several independent events appear to be moving toward the same period on the calendar. Mid-August has emerged as an important reference point in recent reports, not because it guarantees a specific outcome, but because multiple government and financial developments seem to be converging around that time frame. Looking at these developments together provides a clearer picture than examining each one separately. One of the biggest issues currently attracting attention is the ongoing pressure surrounding government salary payments. Reports indicating delays caused by liquidity challenges have raised important questions about the condition of Iraq's financial system. When public sector salaries are affected, it reflects more than an isolated administrative issue. It suggests that financial resources must be managed carefully, and that authorities may be facing increased pressure to improve cash flow management. Situations like these often require broader policy discussions involving budgeting, government spending priorities, and fiscal planning before long-term stability can be achieved. Liquidity concerns are significant because they influence nearly every part of a country's financial operations. When available cash becomes tighter, routine obligations become more difficult to manage, increasing pressure on policymakers to find practical solutions. Financial officials cannot ignore prolonged shortages because they directly affect public services and government operations. Rather than viewing these reports as isolated events, many analysts see them as part of a wider financial environment that is still evolving. This does not necessarily indicate crisis, but it does highlight that important financial decisions remain under active consideration as authorities continue working through existing challenges. Another closely watched issue involves Iraq's budget process. Questions remain regarding the pace of implementation and whether every stage of the current financial framework has been fully completed. Budgets represent much more than annual spending plans. They establish priorities, define fiscal discipline, and provide a structured roadmap for government operations. Whenever implementation experiences delays or remains incomplete, observers naturally pay closer attention because it may indicate that certain administrative or political decisions are still being finalized before authorities move forward with additional policy measures. Budget timing also reflects coordination between financial institutions and political leadership. Fiscal policy rarely moves independently from broader government planning. Instead, budget execution often depends on institutional readiness and administrative coordination across multiple branches of government. When important budget decisions remain open, it suggests that leaders are continuing to evaluate several factors before finalizing the next stage of implementation. While some interpret delays as uncertainty, others view them as part of a structured preparation process intended to ensure that future decisions are introduced under the most stable conditions possible. Attention has also shifted toward recurring timing patterns observed during recent months. Rather than expecting major developments immediately at the beginning of each month, many official processes have appeared to gain momentum closer to the middle or later weeks. This repeated pattern has encouraged observers to pay closer attention to mid-August as another potentially significant period. That does not mean that important decisions must occur on one specific day. Instead, it highlights how government activity often follows a sequence in which planning, coordination, and administrative preparation occur quietly before public announcements become visible. This measured approach helps explain why periods of limited public information should not automatically be interpreted as inactivity. Governments frequently complete technical discussions, administrative coordination, and institutional planning behind closed doors before announcing major decisions publicly. As a result, quieter periods can sometimes represent preparation rather than delay. with salary discussions, liquidity concerns, budget implementation, and government planning all continuing simultaneously. The middle of August has become an important time frame to monitor carefully. While no conclusions should be drawn prematurely, the combination of these ongoing developments explains why many analysts continue watching that portion of the calendar with increased attention. As discussions continue, another important factor receiving close attention is the government's remaining cabinet appointments. Completing a cabinet is more than filling official positions. It represents the government's ability to operate with greater coordination and make decisions through a fully established leadership structure. Until every major position is finalized, some policy decisions may naturally move at a slower pace. This is one reason why many observers continue monitoring political developments alongside financial updates. The relationship between government readiness and economic planning has always been closely connected, making cabinet completion an important part of the broader picture. Recent reports suggesting that the government is working toward important administrative milestones around the middle of August have strengthened interest in that time frame. Establishing a target period creates expectations for internal progress, even if the specific actions remain undisclosed. Deadlines often encourage institutions to complete unfinished work, finalize pending discussions, and coordinate departments that have been operating on separate schedules. While deadlines alone never guarantee immediate public announcements, they frequently serve as important reference points that help observers understand how government planning is unfolding over time. Financial pressure also continues to influence the pace of decision-making. When salary obligations, liquidity concerns, and budget implementation all remain active issues simultaneously, government institutions face increasing pressure to improve efficiency. Public employees rely on timely payments, while financial ministries must balance available resources with national priorities. These overlapping responsibilities naturally encourage continued discussions among policymakers. Rather than viewing each challenge independently, many analysts believe these issues are interconnected and may eventually require coordinated solutions instead of isolated responses. Periods of transition rarely move in straight lines. Administrative reforms, fiscal planning, and political coordination often progress through multiple stages before becoming visible to the public. This gradual process can sometimes create the impression that little is happening when, in reality, institutions are actively preparing future decisions behind the scenes. Major policy changes are frequently preceded by weeks or months of technical planning, internal meetings, and legal reviews. Because of this, observers are encouraged to evaluate long-term patterns instead of focusing only on daily headlines or short-term developments. The sequence of recent events has attracted attention because several different areas appear to be progressing together. Political adjustments, discussions surrounding financial management, cabinet completion, and budget-related developments are all unfolding within a relatively similar time frame. Individually, each development may appear routine. Collectively, however, they create a broader picture of a government working through several important priorities simultaneously. That broader perspective explains why many analysts continue emphasizing process and preparation rather than expecting sudden or dramatic announcements. Looking beneath the surface reveals that these developments share a common theme: institutional readiness. Delayed salary payments, ongoing liquidity management, unfinished administrative appointments, and continued budget discussions all suggest that authorities remain focused on completing essential groundwork. Readiness involves ensuring that financial systems, political leadership, and administrative structures are aligned before moving into the next phase of government operations. Whether future actions involve economic measures, administrative reforms, or broader policy initiatives, preparation remains an essential requirement before any significant step can be implemented effectively. Many viewers naturally ask whether quieter periods should be interpreted positively or negatively. In reality, limited public information does not necessarily indicate inactivity. Governments frequently conduct negotiations, policy reviews, and technical planning without providing continuous public updates. Especially when official reports continue referencing a future time frame, periods of relative silence may simply reflect ongoing preparation. Patience becomes especially important during these stages because many meaningful developments occur long before they appear in official announcements or public statements. The cabinet process deserves additional attention because it directly influences how efficiently government institutions can function. Completing the remaining ministerial appointments strengthens administrative continuity and reduces uncertainty within decision-making bodies. A fully established cabinet provides greater confidence that government departments can coordinate policy implementation more effectively. This is why cabinet-related reports continue receiving significant attention alongside financial news. Political organization and financial administration are closely connected, meaning progress in one area often supports progress in the other as Iraq continues working through its current transition. Political developments continue to play an essential role in understanding Iraq's broader financial direction. Economic policy and government authority are closely linked, meaning that progress in one area often supports progress in the other. This is why discussions surrounding cabinet completion remain relevant whenever financial planning is being examined. A fully functioning government can generally coordinate decisions more efficiently than one still working through administrative appointments. For that reason, many observers believe the remaining political steps are not isolated events but part of the wider framework that may shape the country's next phase of institutional planning. Managing expectations is equally important during periods like this. Whenever a specific time frame receives attention, there is always a tendency for speculation to grow beyond the available facts. However, a timeline should be viewed as a point of observation rather than a guarantee of immediate change. Mid-August has become significant because several independent developments appear to be moving toward that period, not because any official announcement has promised a particular outcome. Remaining focused on confirmed information instead of assumptions allows for a more balanced understanding of the situation as events continue to unfold. At this stage, analysts are watching two major areas simultaneously. The first involves whether the government completes the remaining administrative and political steps necessary to strengthen institutional readiness. The second focuses on how ongoing financial pressures, including liquidity management and budget execution, continue influencing policy discussions. These areas may develop at different speeds, yet they remain interconnected. If both political organization and financial planning continue progressing together, observers will have a clearer picture of how Iraq intends to manage its next phase of government operations. It is also worth remembering that major developments rarely appear without preparation. Significant policy decisions are often built upon a series of smaller administrative actions that receive much less public attention. Individual meetings, ministerial appointments, financial reviews, and technical planning sessions may seem routine when viewed separately. Together, however, they often establish the conditions necessary for broader government initiatives. That is why many experienced observers pay close attention to gradual progress rather than searching only for dramatic headlines that may overlook the larger process taking place behind the scenes. Another valuable lesson from recent developments is the importance of discipline when following complex national issues. Information should be evaluated carefully, compared across reliable sources, and placed within the broader context of ongoing government activity. Reacting to isolated reports without considering the complete picture can easily create unnecessary confusion. Instead, repeated patterns deserve greater attention. When multiple independent developments consistently point toward the same period on the calendar, they naturally become more meaningful than any single report viewed in isolation. Iraq's recent history also demonstrates that important transitions frequently occur in carefully managed stages. Administrative reforms, financial planning, and institutional coordination often move layer by layer rather than through sudden shifts. One completed objective creates the foundation for the next. Budget discussions influence financial management, administrative appointments strengthen institutional capacity, and improved coordination supports future policy implementation. This gradual progression explains why patience remains an important part of understanding Iraq's current transition, rather than expecting immediate conclusions from individual developments. Observers should also recognize that some of the most meaningful indicators may appear ordinary at first glance. Government meetings, fiscal reviews, ministerial appointments, and budget discussions rarely generate dramatic headlines on their own. Yet these routine administrative activities often represent the operational foundation upon which larger decisions are eventually built. As these separate elements continue moving forward together, they provide a clearer picture of how government institutions are preparing for future responsibilities while maintaining stability throughout the process. When everything is viewed together, several consistent themes emerge. Liquidity management continues receiving attention. Budget implementation remains an important topic. Government formation is approaching its remaining stages, while repeated references to the middle of August continue appearing across multiple reports. None of these developments alone determines the future, but collectively they establish a time frame that many observers consider worthy of continued monitoring. Rather than focusing on speculation, attention remains centered on confirmed administrative progress and official government actions. For now, the most practical approach is to continue following verified information as it becomes available, watching how cabinet appointments progress, monitoring budget-related developments, and observing how financial institutions respond to liquidity challenges will likely provide the clearest understanding of Iraq's evolving situation. Meaningful developments often emerge through steady progress rather than sudden surprises, making careful observation far more valuable than reacting to every rumor circulating online. As we conclude today's update, the key takeaway is not about predicting outcomes, but about understanding the process. Current reports suggest that several important developments are gradually aligning within the same general time frame, making the middle of August an important period to watch from an informational perspective. As always, we will continue following official announcements, verified reports, and factual developments as the story evolves. Thank you for spending your time with Global Monetary Watch today. If you found this analysis helpful, be sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, and join us for future updates as we continue bringing you balanced, factual coverage of the latest Iraqi Dinar news. Stay informed, stay patient, and we'll see you in the next update.